right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're now tapping into the people I live with, the show we to dissect and discuss. I hate you. I hate you.
You almost made it. See, I told
This
you I
is the
couldn't help
show where I never get to intro my own because somebody has to mess me up. But that's okay. It's all love. This is the people I live with. The show we can do dissect and discuss our experiences as pastors, kids. I'm your host, Erica Green.
I'm your other host, Jonathan Green, or John Green for short.
Yes. Then we have our cousin here, all the way from Kansas City, Missouri. What's up, Cortne? This is Cortne.
Cortne Green, partner in crime, if you will.
Yeah, the fun
Let's throw that out there.
You want to have a good time? You want to have fun? You call Cortne. It's a good time.
Yeah, big fact.
He's also the tallest cousin, so there's that.
That is a big fact. I'm the tallest member of the family, not just because I'm
big.
I am the tallest member of the family.
Big facts.
Big facts. Emphasis on big facts. So yeah, so Cortne lives in Kansas City now with his wife. Shout out to Rika. Hi, Dad.
Sharika.
And Cortne won't be having Cortne won't be having a baby. His wife will be having the baby, but Cortne will be welcoming a baby soon. So we have a new cousin, in the mix. Okay, because the one thing about greens is when the Bible said be fruitful and multiply, the greens take that very seriously. Okay, our parents, y'all take that very serious. Y'all do not be playing about being fruitful and multiplying. That's one thing for sure.
We for real have an entire clan full of members now.
The green pan will never go extinct, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, that's not happening.
Never, ever.
No time soon.
Not no time soon. Never. So,
and because I have a boy, my legacy is still here, so.
That's true. Cortne will be having a boy next month. So,
don't pray. Yeah.
Had all these girls, man. We gotta.
So you getting nervous? Am I having actually the first? I am.
You are
the first legitimate boy, green boy.
Yeah.
As a male, I am. Hey, shout out to
blood
me.
male. The first, legit.
Yeah.
We out here. We gotta replenish our ranks.
That's
okay. True. That's true. Actually. Yeah, because
David's got all girls.
David's got all girls. Justin got all girls.
Yep. Ariel has there's Gabriel, but I'm the first male, so technically my blood would be the one to start off.
All right, Cortne. All right. He's so proud of that.
The first male that won't have to change their name. There you go.
That's true.
That's right.
That's true. Are you excited? Are you nervous? Or you feel good?
I'm a little bit of both. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know why the Lord trusts me with this responsibility. If we're gonna see how this works out. So.
Okay, that's a good attitude towards parenting. I love it. We love it.
It's the first kid, so I'm gonna mess him up. I already know him. He'll be all right.
He'll be okay.
He'll be okay.
He'll be all right. So,
we all turned out all right. I think
we all turned out okay.
He'll be okay.
My parents left us at church for 27 hours a day, as Am said. So we're fine. So Okay, it's okay. It's okay. But yeah, so Cortne was with us in the trenches. No, I'm just kidding. Cortne was with us.
Nah. In the trenches. You was right. You had that right.
He listen. Cortne was in there shooting in the gym with us. No, I'm playing. But Cortne was with us at Metro. Them long hours, just growing up in Metro. So he definitely can relate to everything that we have talked about in this show, and he will be able to give a lot of good insights on what it's like growing up in church, number one, but as a pastor's kid, number two. So, Cortne, first of all, I'm going to start off by asking you, what were the perks of being a pastor's kid, if any, if you feel like there were any?
No, I definitely had some perks. It made it a lot easier. For one, most of my people that I encountered with are are from the church. I don't consider them as friends. Majority of them are family. Shout out to everybody else that grew up with us.
Yeah.
Shout out Ed, to shout out my twins, shout out Bree, Candace, Jazz, all of them, everybody that was there, the Jacksons,
Candace, man.
Getting
the
KK.
both sets of Jacksons, Auntie Terry, Brother Kenny, all of them, all of their kids,
Oh my
the
God, yeah,
Yeah.
but all of them, like those are forever like extended family.
yeah.
Like those, they definitely made things
A, a lot easier.
a lot more fun
Yeah.
because even when we were in the trenches and stuff like that, especially like summer vacations, like they were always with us in some part or some capacity, whether it was going to Six Flags, whether they was tagging along with trips. They made every church event we were there doing, putting together with them too. So I mean that just it always made we always made memories voluntarily and involuntarily.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so it was that to me. I mean, it kind of gave me my basis, my foundation, because a lot like outside of church, like I really didn't have. I mean, well, I can't really say that because I played sports too, but my core, my family, my friends came from church. So that would be like my my benefit for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. Yeah, because we definitely like even thinking back on it, like up until like like me and we our branch of the family moved. Like the only friends I had were the leadership kids, us, the Greens, and the leadership kids. That was it.
No doubt.
See, and that's crazy. I have we talked about this on the first episode. My friends actually weren't leadership kids, so that I feel like I might have been the only one who like was like. And I say that like there's like beef because there's no beef, but like we were I'm cool with them. It's just like I don't know. I just had
Well, I
different
mean,
friends.
for most of them, I mean, your parents, well, not your parents, your friends, they were still at Metro though. So like,
Yeah,
even if you weren't leadership kids, your friends came from church. So
yeah, yeah.
so like, and that's me because I mean, even outside of that, we all went to, Gateway, Tower Grove,
Yeah. Shout out to Tower
Christian
Grove.
Academy, all of those schools like that. So, in majority of those kids, especially early on, like they were going to the same schools as us too. So, like even like
Yeah,
like their kids, and they was coaching and playing like, you know, in the schools as well as in the church too. So we had it on all cylinders, which is really cool in certain aspects too, because it really gave you that community vibe, that village for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. So, what pressures did you feel, if any, again, going, being a pastor's kid? Because, like you, like to give context, we should have said this in the beginning. So, like you grew up in Metro with your mom, shout out to Des, and
it
your sister
is.
Gabby. And, so being that your family and your dad, Uncle Mark, that, your parents are pastors and things like that, you're like in the church. Did you feel any pressures?
Well, sure. I mean, we definitely had, and we all feel this. We can all attest to, like, we felt the pressure of leading a legacy. You know, pressures of being in leadership. Obviously, um, most of us, in some regards, just kind of fell into it. Like, I mean, Johnny, y'all have literally been doing like sound and tech and everything since I can remember.
Yeah,
So and same thing with like us. We've been in some form of ministry or on a ministry team. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember even helping y'all when we first got the video with the cameras and stuff like that. When we
hmm
had the camera ministry and getting that together, like I was part of that, part of
yeah.
the production, helping Grandpa, like
Whew.
you know,
Community
like
care day.
community
Oh,
care day.
community
So we
care
shout out to
day.
community care day for
Shout out to
sure.
community care day. Every fifth
And then
Saturday of the
obviously
month.
the mecca of all where it all started for majority of us was Urban Kids Club.
Yeah,
We all had to play some type of part, whether we had to sing, dance, mime, you know, read,
So,
lead a devotional prayer or pledge allegiance or something like that.
right.
So it always, that they kind of expected a lot of the people, especially in the church, kind of expected us to take on that mantle especially like, and they still do with our parents getting older and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
everyone that's still in Metro, or just not even just not even that in Metro, just in leadership in general. Like we have a huge calling as far as leadership on us, because even and I'm a clown day when he gets here. Not he's a deacon, and
He
Right.
sure is.
Right.
I mean, but even Gabby's still taking like she's part of the leadership for the youth department
Yeah.
for Metro Youth. Shout out to Metro Youth. Shout out to your parents for starting that.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was
So
rough.
even like for me, like with the church that I go to now in Kansas City, Refreshing Waters. Shout out to Pastor King,
Yeah.
Pastor
Shout
Frank.
out
They they came from Metro, and so literally when I came here, they just I mean he jokingly, but he had an expectation of me, falling in line and still helping out with ministry. And that's kind of been our conversation that we've been having with them lately. Here, even me and my wife just here lately. It's like, okay, we'll be going to, we got people transitioning out. So I mean that expectation, that well, I wouldn't even say expectation. It's literally the way I view it now. I have no other choice but to see it in the plan that it is a calling in our life. We are
Yeah.
called in some type of capacity to be in leadership, whether it be corporate, whether it be literally hands on in the church, or even outside. Like that's just just we were bred to do that for whatever
Mm.
for whatever reason.
Right.
that. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But lately, I've never like thought about this, but the thought literally just came to my mind. Like going back to what you said, Courtney, about people expecting us, to carry the mantle. Do you feel like, and John, you can answer this question too. Like, do you feel like as the male cousins, it was more on you? Because like as a girl, like I felt it, but I don't know. Like being that you guys are males and you guys are like the male greens, do you feel like it was put more on y'all than like the female cousins at all? Like like do you feel like it
So,
was?
for sure. I mean, especially like if you hear the story, if you know the story of how Metro even started, it was the family, it was the brothers, it was the Green Boys that started the church. All of the brothers. Obviously, you had Uncle Ray. Shout out Bishop Uncle.
Yes,
Um,
Miss Mom.
Bishop
Yeah,
of
Uncle.
course, right. But like literally, all of our parents, your dad, your dad, Uncle Chris, Uncle Johnny, my dad when he was here, when he was living, they all played a major part in the early stages of Metro.
Yeah.
So obviously, even if our parents never once put that responsibility on us, we still kind of felt that expectation. Even John, like even Joseph and Johan, shout out to the other cousins. There was a pressure at one point, saying, well, your daddy gonna pass the church over you, and you gonna be doing this and da da da. So it kind of put it. There was a pressure for sure, but was it something that's negative? Not necessarily. To me, honestly, that kind of pressure, um, just kind of kept me accountable as well. I mean, sure, I had my rebellion stage and stuff like that, but it I was like a prodigal son in a sense. Like I can't stray too far while out at like too hard because I still have this calling on my life. Like I realized at a very early age that no matter how hard I go or how hard I try or run away from it, like it's inevitable. So I might as well, walk it because sooner or later it's gonna happen. So, but I mean, early on, especially like the pressures, there were pressures growing up with it for sure, especially being in, once your parent, especially once the parents start getting sick, like when both
Yeah.
my uncles had, their heart attacks, your dad and
Yeah.
Uncle Ray had
yeah,
their heart attacks. Like the pressures on, Justin, on Johan, on me,
Yeah.
Johnny and David were gone and Chris were gone. So who was the next up in line to take up the mantle before I left in Kansas City, or before Johan left to go to school, or before Johan or Justin, started his family. Like there was a huge pressure, like especially like when y'all left too. Like who's gonna take over the music ministry? Who's gonna
yeah,
do the cameras? Who's gonna take over video? Who's gonna
yeah,
do all the tech stuff, the tape and booth? Like who's gonna do that? Who's gonna help Uncle Ray? Like who's
yeah,
going to do tithe and offering, like all of those things,
Yeah.
yeah,
for real,
Yeah.
all of those
Real.
things, like, who's going to run the youth, like those questions, those places, obviously they've been placed on us, or like I wouldn't say placed on us. Those are, obviously things that need to be filled, but not necessarily have to be filled by us.
Yeah.
Some people automatically assume that it would be us, but I one thing that I do love about our parents is they never was like, well, you got to do such and such. Like they never put
Yeah,
that pressure on. So
that's for
that was
sure.
sure. Like so, it kind of made it easier to ignore some of the other expectations.
Yeah.
Interesting. Johnny, what do you think?
I would agree. Like there was definitely that pressure. Um, and I would agree. I would also agree with it wasn't a good or a bad thing. To me, it kind of helped me um, move in the direction that I needed to, as far as like following what the Lord told me to do and different things like that. So it's just like it, not necessarily that I cared for it all too much at times, just because like it's just like, well, I kind of just you don't know what I want to do,
Right.
um, but I don't know. It was just for the most part, it's just like I didn't really dwell on it too much, just because like what Courtney said, like mom and dad were just like, you don't have to do what we do. And since they told us that, like they had to sit down with us even or while sometime after like everything fell apart here in Pennsylvania. And it was just like there was just like, you know what, you guys don't have to do what we do, and that settled it for me. And so I kind of just went with my own thing from then on. Um, and what I'm to do is not necessarily, I'm not going to say it's not similar to what my parents have done since as far back as I can see, as far as like media and video and different things like that. As you can see, like I can figure stuff out, and it's like I'm gonna make stuff work, as far as sound, video, and different things like that. But for me, that kind of just goes along in the lines of just like my parents told me I ain't got to do it the same way. So I didn't, for me internally, I didn't really feel that pressure at all.
Yeah.
Because you can say what you want to say, but my parents said that I ain't got to do this. So
My mama said that I ain't
say
gotta do
less.
it.
Say less. I ain't finna do that. I know what y'all went through with all of this crap. I ain't doing that. I ain't going through that.
That is so funny. That is so funny.
Mm.
I think it's interesting that you guys say that, especially you, Cody, that like, the pressure made you like not stray as much, or like kind of be, be more in line. Because actually, sometimes a lot of people, it's like the opposite. You know what I mean? The pressure is like too much. So like, what, forget it. I'm gonna do what I want to do. Forget this. It's too much. So I think it's interesting that the pressure actually kept you in line. And I think that like, I guess we had like, if you want to call it good pressure, and like I guess like the right amount of pressure, so it's like it kept you in line, but it wasn't too much to where like you got overwhelmed and it was like, forget it, like I'm just gonna do it. But so I
Right.
mean that's good. That's good though, because like I said, sometimes you hear like the pressure is too much. Forget this church thing. Forget this pastor thing. I'm out.
Yeah.
Ain't never gonna see me again.
Yeah.
So
Sure, we got those. I know that ain't the pastor's kids and all of those guys smart and smart comments, and you just like, lady, you don't even know me. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like,
You know
we
my
got those,
parents. You don't know
of
me.
course.
And then
Like,
I come out
you
of
think you
pocket.
know me? You know.
we
Hmm.
got that. We 100% got that. But like I said, I have to, I have to give credit to our parents for help relieving that. So,
Yeah.
from what what I'm saying, my mom told me at a very early age. She said, "I'm going to be your best line of defense. Don't lie to me. If something, keep it 100 with me. Something, keep it a buck. If something's going on, whether you was wrong, whether you was right there in the middle of it, you know what I mean. Of course, we got stories like that,
Yeah.
but she was there to protect me, whatever in and not whatever image that he had to be preacher's kids or to be the leadership kids that are
Right.
messing up or do whatever because obviously everything that we did was ostracized even though like your kid was right there next to us.
Okay.
You know what I
It
mean?
was
Like,
actually it was your kid's idea if we want to talk about it. Your
right,
kid
like,
was the ringleader.
right. So, I mean, even if that was the case, but I mean, like I said, all of those things, I honestly can say that helped me with their support helped me better identify, not be distracted with the stigma, so that I can actually like encounter God, like have an actual relationship with Him.
Yeah.
Because just like y'all, well, for the most part, I know Erica, you got to go to public school. I was in private school my entire life up
Yeah.
until college. So, even when I went to Christian Academy, shout out Christian Academy once again. That's where me and your dad and Auntie Pam graduated from.
Yeah.
Um, there was obviously they had a different. It was still a Christian school, but they had a different denomination. And so whatever they were teaching me 5 days out of the week, and what I was learning from Metro 6 days out of the week, and me whatever, trying to internalize that and process that at an early age, all of those things really played a factor to help me identify myself in Christ, who I am and what I believe, and
Yeah.
and really, like I said, establish a legitimate relationship with them, despite of who was doing what or what I was doing at the time. You know, it just kind of just made things a lot easier.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. So switching gears a little bit,
Sure.
I want to ask my favorite question out of every podcast. I want to talk about church groupies. So, Courtney, have
Oh,
you ever heard my explanation of what a church groupie is?
what is a church groupie?
So, it's not that.
I feel like you know.
So, a church groupie is, so I always preface with my definition by saying a groupie does not always be sexual. It can be, but a groupie does not have to be sexual. It does not always have to be like, they want to be in a relationship with you. When people think of groupies, they think of, like rappers, athletes, that kind of thing. But past groupies too, honey. And, groupies are people who just want to just hang around you, be around you, and really they want other people to know that they be around you. So it's people who will come to all your family functions when they low-key weren't invited. They will, they'll be real federal and show up to, wherever y'all went out to eat, even though nobody told them. I don't to this know how they knew. Hopefully by the end of this podcast we figure out how they knew where we were. I always say, how did you know that we were going to be in the Applebee's on South Kings Highway after church? Who told you? Like, nobody can figure out how they knew. But yeah, so church groupies, people who just hang around you like a leech. They won't leave you alone. They're always there, even though they have their own families. They just hang around yours. So what are your thoughts on church groupies? Do you think that we have church groupies? What were your thoughts about that? People who would just hang around us like leeches.
Without saying any names.
Without saying any names, just please don't say any names.
Because we all know
Because I feel like we all know someone who I call our Queen Bee, and I know you know who I'm talking about. Our Queen Bee, she's number one, but yeah.
Sure. I mean, we had those, but like I said, our friends, like the people that we grew up with, have always been around, and to this day have been in our weddings.
Yeah.
So we've got a solid core group for the most part. Like, sure, there were some seasonal people, or just people who just clung on for their life, whatever.
Their life.
But for the majority, for the most part, I mean, again, like most of it, I could just speak for myself. Most of the friends that I had at Metro, or had at other places that knew that I was a church kid, or knew that I was, well, I guess that really didn't matter because I went to a Christian school, and majority of them were parents that were, also held some type of, status in the church, or I wouldn't say status, but they held like some type of responsibility.
Position.
Like they were, they were part of, like, they were involved in their churches too. So like being or hearing that I'm a pastor's kid or that I'm a PK or a PB or a Pew Baby, if whatever you want to call it,
A Pew Baby.
um, it
Okay.
really didn't have that much clout for me. Now, did I see some people job chasing as far as some of my other family members? I could say so, or I could, would look at it as such early. But again, that could be just my perspective. But it wasn't nothing that it didn't happen to where it affected me, or like I wasn't annoyed by them. Like I wasn't around majority of the time anyway, especially growing up because we played sports. So we was always gone, traveling, doing all the stuff like that. I mean, whatever we was doing at the
Oh,
church,
that's
like
right. Yeah, you guys were all, like you and Gabby were always like out playing a game
yeah, like
somewhere.
me, Gabby, Johan,
Yeah.
we were always gone. We always had games, especially during basketball season. Like we
Yup.
were always so we didn't really. I mean, we just that was kind of our exit.
It really was.
Know how to
I can
do
imagine.
participate as much. But I can't even say that because we had to balance like all of that with church too. So that wasn't even really like a release or an exit because once we got done playing, especially like first of the year, which was basketball season, so January, I would have to leave practice, go to church for whatever service that we had, still have either a game or practice on Friday, leave that, come back to church for all night prayer, like so so that
Oh,
wasn't even really like a release in a sense. Like we just I don't know how we did that, honestly. Jesus.
yeah. How did you do that?
One
How
day at
We
a
did you
kept
time.
balance
One day at a
work
time. That
and
was
church?
it.
basically, John,
One day at a time.
one day at a time. I don't know how we literally worked up on minimal sleep.
Man.
For sure. Cause like we didn't have the luxury either to like catch a bus. Well, at least I didn't. Gabby did. I didn't have the luxury of catching a bus. So my mama had to take me to school, and she's also a teacher, so she had to be at her school at 7 something in the morning. So that means I had to be there for before and after care. So my day started at like 5:30, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Mm. Whew.
Mm,
Ooh.
yeah.
Man,
Ooh.
man,
Ooh.
man, oh man.
Ooh.
That's crazy. And well, that explains because like you're actually the first cousin that we've interviewed that actually didn't have a strong opinion about church groupies. Because everybody else had a very strong opinion. Like everybody else was like, nah, I hated it.
Yeah,
You were
I
actually
wasn't
like,
around long enough to really see that. Cause not that
yeah,
I really too much care. I mean, obviously, when we had our big family functions, where we wanted it to be a little bit more intimate, and obviously there was always somebody that showed up, whether they
whew,
were invited or not. Like, and it was annoying, sure, but as long as I had y'all there, I really didn't too much care. We were already out, like always outside of doing something that we weren't
You
supposed to be doing.
right.
Anyway,
You,
so.
you right. You
So,
right. Always doing stuff we weren't supposed to be
you
doing.
yeah.
know.
Because I was about to ask you, that was gonna be my next question. How did you feel when people
People
would
like
come
just
to
showed up,
yeah,
encroached.
showed up to family holidays, family functions, or even like more vulnerable moments. I said like one of our uncles or whatever, like in the hospital, and like they just show up to the hospital. You know what I mean? Like, how do you feel when people like encroach upon your family and your
Oh,
family time?
oh yeah, that after just I always tried to keep my focus on what was supposed to be, what was actually going on. So I wasn't too much distracted by the unwanted guests or I wouldn't say unwanted because I don't want it to sound like, you know, they obviously loved our uncles or my uncles, your parents.
Yeah.
They obviously loved y'all and loved them and had an impact on them, on whoever that person was.
Mm-hmm.
So I cannot sit here and say, especially the relationship that they had, can't speak on that. So where maybe we may say, okay, well, how the heck did this nigga know? Whatever.
Right.
But what I'm saying that we obviously, especially growing up, we can't really speak until like obviously we have later. I'm like, when somebody else acknowledges and say, how did they even know we didn't even invite them, whatever the case was. But then that those conversations got to know. And especially, and I will say on certain times where it was supposed to be more intimate, instead of it took away from our like it. our focus or our parents' focus from dealing whatever the situation at hand was, because we had to do it very delicately and very sensitively because other people were around.
We're
So
there.
it could kind of like, in a sense, it kind of prevented some of the healing that we probably needed, or stuff that we needed that we was trying to get through and process and go through that we really couldn't because we were still, amongst others. Which also, I mean, well, I will say that when I got older, that did a little bit annoying too, especially like because I think I was in high school when your dad had his heart attack. For sure in high school, well, actually, in college when Uncle Ray had his heart attack. So yeah, like I had a bigger take on it, so I was processing it, sensitive things. So, um, but I'm always, if you know me, y'all know me, like I'm the one, like that's going to find a lot of the situation. I'm going to help people make sense of the situation. I'll diffuse
Very
the
level-headed.
situation the
Yeah.
best that I can. I'll try to be as level headed as
Yeah.
I can. We already know some of us at the end of that. So I feel like my ministry within the family, like that's needed. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. You right.
I don't,
There
I
are some
don't try
people
to
who are
be
like, I'm
stuck.
gonna call you after the problem is solved, because if I call you now, it's not. I'm gonna call you after I've solved it and just let you know what happened.
No, definitely call me because I'm
No,
also the
not
one.
you, but other people.
Oh yeah. Some people you can't call because they'll just
Ooh,
be
I'm gonna
alive
call you.
as an asset.
I'm gonna tell you after it happened. I'm gonna tell you the story
Yeah,
later.
Right. We'll tell you after everything has been
it's,
resolved.
it's
Right,
okay now,
right.
but
I'm
this
gonna let you know
wasn't
what happened.
This
It's
is what
fine.
happened, though.
What happened though? We're fine now. We're straight.
for sure.
It's all
For
good.
sure.
It's all good. That's funny though, cause yeah, we've talked before, like, how do people know where we are? Like, let's say there's like a family issue. Like a lot of families have family meetings,
Yeah.
and but every other family gets the luxury of processing whatever family issue that they have by
In private.
themselves.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
is it that we or any other pastor family? Why do I have to share my family meeting and my familial issues with you? Like I said last time, do we come to your family and catch all this tea? No.
Yeah. My
So
issue was always when like something major happened, like like the instances where like I remember, or the past one, or like when we came home for grandma. So if
Yeah.
anybody would have showed up, I would have went off. I already know I would have, because like in I know our parents have been very mindful of posting stuff now, like say on Facebook, or I know they just all have Facebook. They don't have Twitter or nothing like that.
no.
So they all post like they
All they
all
have is
post.
Facebook, brother.
Yeah, all they do is they post that one post to cover everybody, and they all post it, which is great, or a variation of it of just like, hey, just pray for us, but don't come by. Don't come by.
Do not
This is a
come by.
family issue. This is a sensitive matter for our family. Like, we appreciate your love and everything, but just don't come by.
Don't
Just
show
don't
up.
do it. And
Yeah.
I know now, since like we're all and especially with all the nieces and nephews now, we're all in our mid to mid 20s to mid 30s now. So it's just like
Um, Shout out to all you old heads, Ariel, Chris.
the
Now
Ariel,
see y'all
Chris,
the mid
Justin,
30s.
Yeah.
all
Going
y'all in
down.
y'all upper 30s.
Going
But it's
down
just
for the 85s and the 88s. No.
leading into the 30 strong.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Fearless leaders.
But it's just like, I know now, since like there, I've been trying to keep it mindful. Like, okay, just like we're starting to enter kind of that phase of just being like, for me, it's just like, I already know I'm gonna be the doorkeeper. I'm gonna end up just being doorkeeper and
Now
just
they got
sitting
the
there because
bouncer.
that's just, for me, that's just my personality though.
Yeah.
Like I'm because y'all all know kind of my temperament. I get to a point where it's just like I just can't take it no more, and then I just go off.
Donnie
That's
asks
just
all
it.
the questions that needs to be answered.
I will, in that too. I will ask the questions that need to be asked, whether it is according to green etiquette or not. If I see the problem, I'm gonna ask about the problem, whether I
Yeah.
should be asking about the problem or not. Because for me, like it's just like if it's something that needs to be dealt with, I'm gonna deal with it. So
Yeah.
if you come over after we explicitly said not to, especially when it gets to the point where it's our parents, I'm just not having it. I will turn into Carol Green's son so fast. You will know that I am Carol Green's son. So
Not that Johnny. I'm still stuck the part that Johnny said he was gonna be the bouncer at the door. I'm still.
oh yeah, I'm gonna be the bouncer. I'm gonna 100% be the bouncer at the door. Like, what you doing here? Like, we explicitly said, like, no, thank you for your love and your concern. You can go home. We got this. We good.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I just bring you something to eat. Don't nobody want that dry food.
We already ordered. We already got DoorDash. We good.
Okay.
We got DoorDash. We got catering coming and stuff. We good. You all right? Thank you for your cookies, but you can take your cookies right back home, and you can eat your own baking. I'm sure it's good. Bye.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why, like, I think I said this on the previous episode. People were like, "Oh well." I think Cortne said this similar along the lines of this too. Like, "Oh well, they care about our family. They mean well." But it's like at the same time, it's like if we tell you not to come, and you come anyway, you can't mean well. Because if you really cared about me,
Bro,
you
already
would respect my wishes. Like, you know
niggas
what I'm saying?
don't listen. They just don't.
They don't.
They just,
Like if you think
they have your own intentions, y'all have the best intentions, which I said. I mean, which is great.
Yeah. Like I really do appreciate the best intentions. Like, but for me, it's the you're not supposed to come over here.
Yeah. It gets invasive. It honestly does.
It
definitely gets invasive. Yeah.
Because, like, whatever, like, we could be in the middle of, like, a real, raw, you feel me, argument. Now, as Greens, we know how our discussions be, they're real, they're intense. You would think we actually really fight, but we're actually not fighting. We actually really love each other. But you would think we're actually fighting, So, they're, like, real,
just a normal conversation.
Yeah, they're, like, real. Yeah, they're like real raw. What you say?
I said it's situational. Sometimes y'all don't love y'all at that moment.
I might not like you now. I'm gonna call you later and be like, okay, so like, I do actually love you, right? You're like, yeah, okay, yeah. But in that moment, yes, I may not like.
In that moment, I'm mad. I'm just trying to get my point across.
And that's another thing about Greens. Like our facial expression game is on 10. So I'm gonna be looking at you real. So I feel like I got that. That's what I do have. My facial expression game is crazy. So I might be looking at you crazy. But I do love you on the inside. But just, But yeah, so like we'll be in the middle of like a real raw, passionate discussion. We're about to like make a breakthrough. And then we're to the door. Like I'm saying, like that's now you never in the whole
That's why I say I'm about to be the bouncer at every family function now. Like
yeah.
Who said you can
I will say this. Again, shout out to our parents because this is probably where we get it from. The fact that they work so well on one accord, like as far as information, as far as handling things, as far as like all of those things. As a whole, corporate, like collectively, like they do such a bang up job at keeping the integrity, not just the integrity of the family, but just like whenever we have those type of moments, like their response, they're quick to to handle the situation, divulge the situation, or not divulge, decrease the situation, the level of intensity of it.
Suppress. That's the word.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you.
Gotcha.
But yeah, you suppress or compress the situation, diffuse the situation, do everything that they need to do, stay on top of the things because they've been through this thing for at least 30 years, obviously.
Right.
For us.
At least 30.
At least.
So
so they're not 40 years.
Yeah, they're not new to this. And then obviously with us walking in that same vein, especially now that we have a sense of like our parents are getting older, things are starting to happen a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So we also have kind of fallen underneath that same mental, especially like how we keep in contact with one another.
Right.
It makes it a lot easier to just kind of not so much get upset about it, but how to be able to maneuver
Yeah.
um, a little bit easier so that we don't. I mean, because I don't say that we see it. I can't speak for that because I'm not in St. Louis. I don't know what happens all the time. And I'm not in Pennsylvania. I don't know what happens. So I can't see a lot of it because I know for me, when I come down there, I obviously have my intentions of who I gotta see, who I gotta sit under.
Yeah.
Give my family. I need my family time. Like I
Facts.
don't necessarily want a
Facts.
lot of people over there. Um, and it doesn't even have to be like at this point we have done like we're just cold at it to where we don't even discuss us meeting up. We just end up doing it. Like it's
Yeah.
just like a known thing to do. Like
Yeah.
so that kind of made it a little bit easier too. We were a little bit more covert in some of our media,
Yeah.
some of our meetups, especially. It's kind of hard when especially for your parents, for me even like everybody wants to see you, everybody wants to hang out with you, everybody wants some of your time. Like
Yeah.
so, it makes it harder for your parents to, you know,
Yeah. It definitely does.
because they want to split their time, and they obviously feel that pressure to split their time with not just their family, but other family, extended family members of the church. That's definitely something that we just pray for grace and figure out how to do that, how to have that balance. Honestly, because as far as it being a nuisance at this point, for me personally, I don't let it carry over for me. When I hang out with y'all, I hang out with y'all. We have become very patient, and that's why I don't know, because people end up start like we now, even if they do come over, we will have the patience enough to wait till they leave and then handle whatever, discuss whatever we need to discuss as a family while we have that time. Because our time literally is precious to us
Ooh,
at this very moment. Because we can count on our hands in the last 5 years where we have been all in the same room at the exact same time. You know
yeah.
what I mean? So like it is very vital that we have that 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 time. It's very precious. So I understand why everybody else and even why it's annoying to me, you know, that we don't always allot it on that, especially like when I have the expectation that I'm gonna get to see you, but my time is cut because somebody who ain't agreeing wanted to be all up in your face and do all this stuff like this. So it's cutting in on my time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Big facts.
So I mean I definitely understand that, but heavy is the head that wears a crown, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so, uh, sorry, guy, cut this just a little bit short for this episode. I know we got a little deep there.
I
That was
know.
great.
Written on the deep note.
Fantastic.
Ooh.
But of course, like I said the previous episode, y'all gotta wait 2 weeks. We don't. We gonna continue the conversation, but you gotta wait. So
Part
that
two.
is the so we'll see y'all in part two. Thank you so much for joining us. By all means,
Peace.
go ahead, like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Comment below,
Down below.
and share it with whoever you think needs to hear it. All right. Thank you
Yeah.
guys
Absolutely.
so much.